Thank you so much. All wonderful, anecdotal, experiential insights that will be absolutely valuable for all of us, those already in business and those thinking of. We'll try and keep this panel as tight as possible, and I really want to also bring in some of the aspects of leadership when we talk about women leading businesses and women leading teams. Now, you must have all noticed, आपने देखा होगा कि पैंडेमिक के बाद से या पैंडेमिक के दौरान वर्ड्स लाइक एम्पैथी, फ्लेक्सिबिलिटी, मल्टीटास्किंग ये सब बहुत बज़वर्ड्स बन गए हैं. लेकिन वी ऑल नो, ऑल ऑफ अस विमेन नो दैट ये हमारे लिए तो हमेशा से ही टूल्स थे. वी बीन डूइंग दिस, वी बीन पुटिंग दिस इन प्रैक्टिस, एंड we have known this intuitively that these rules will work in leadership. The rules like empathy will always outweigh authority, that transparency will trump territorialism. And we have proved this effectively in our styles of leadership. लेकिन हमेशा से साल दर साल, like Divya was also saying, we've all been told as women, अरे, you're too naive, you're too soft to do business. But now the world is waking up to the tangible, profitable changes that women are bringing to business. And we would like to really popularize a phrase like lead like a woman, right? So it is, I think, very pertinent now than ever before that how we talk about and acknowledge how women are changing the rules of this game called leadership. And I have a super stellar panel with me. Joining me is, of course, Nandini Singh. She's an accomplished business leader. She's currently a partner with IBM Consultancy. She's leading the public sector, oil and gas verticals for India and South Asia. Please welcome Nandini. We have Soumya Kant, who is a co-founder and chief growth officer at Clovia, a name that perhaps all of us know, a lingerie brand that has found its way into the wardrobes and hearts of millennial women. Thank you so much, Soumya, for being here. Anjali Birla, she's a young civil servant, the Ministry of Railways. She's a co-founder of Anya Foundation, an NGO that is working towards women development and skill development. And we have Ma'am Poonam Utreja sitting on that far side, Executive Director of Population Foundation of India. And she has more than 35 years of experience in socio-development sector. So this is really, I mean, a panel that I'm so proud of. Please, I really want to make use of all the insight and knowledge that is going to come out of this conversation. Now, first, Nandini, I want to ask you that, we've always been told that, it's a feel-good thing. Get diversity at work, get women, this number, 50% women. But I want to just lay it out that is it just like a feel-good thing for corporates, or is it going to actually bring about tangible, profitable change in culture as well as, company revenues to have women in leadership as well as overall?
When I started my career, there was nothing called diversity as in diversity. So when I joined around 26 years back, and I did chemistry, MSc chemistry. My mother was insistent that I do my chemistry and sciences and maybe become a doctor. But after that, when I did my MBA, I got selected in a company. It was, I don't know why they took me. It was no diversity, nothing of that sort. But I think I would have probably answered my questions very well. I got there, and you wouldn't believe it. There was one steno, and there was one receptionist, and then there I was a sales manager. And I joined a industry which is called information technology industry. Supposedly there were a lot of programmers. The girls were doing only programming and coding. There was absolutely nobody was going in the field. Nobody was an entrepreneur within that industry. So when I started my sales, it was a experience which they weren't ready, I guess. So I was just telling somebody outside that I would go to, I was handling public sector, imagine. So when I went there, I went there with my team member. There was a team member who was reporting to me, of course, a male. And the person across my table, I was introduced as a manager, but he would look at me. He would just look at the person, and he thought that it was understood that he's my manager. It was very well understood. And I would say, and then the guy got so that probably I'll be like rogering him when I go outside. So he says, sir, she's my manager, so please talk. But still, he wouldn't talk to me directly. So these are the things. From there, we have come a long way. So now from last, I think 10-15 years, it's a diversity. It's not a namesake. They're actually walking the whole thing all the way. And now I have around 50 to 60% women, and sometimes it's more. Even in sales and business development, they go on a maternity leave, they come back and join. And we are ensuring in organizations that they join at the same pay scale and the same place. So women, and they are, I wouldn't be saying better, but equally good to men as compared to men. We are doing very good. In fact, as a leader, I think I'm a little, my IQ is more than or maybe equal to IQ. My EQ is equal to IQ, yes.
Yes, the EQ quotient, that emotional quotient, and how that comes into play. We're going to touch upon that. Soumya, I want to come to you. You are, leading a brand that's, one of the most successful apparel brands. You've taken great valuation from a company like Reliance. And, what is your mantra? How are you doing it? You are really what defines the young woman entrepreneur, you and your, partner. You've been really leading Clovia year-on-year profits, year-on-year sustainability, making a brand impression, getting people, return customers. How are you making that possible? What is the rules of success for a woman entrepreneur?
So I was saying the lingerie as a category has always been talked about in a very hushed tone, right? I grew up in a very small town of Haridwar, and when we were growing up, there was no lingerie store there. So there used to be an auntie who used to come in middle of the afternoon as if she's stealing something to sell us lingerie. And while growing up, me and my sister, we were both very active girls. So we wanted all the support that we could get, but we didn't really have it. And the same thing happened when we shifted to Delhi for our college, for our jobs. That our outerwear had evolved so much, but our innerwear was still that black, white, beige, boring, four-way stretch fabric that could fit all sizes. So that's where the idea came from, that we really needed to bring fashion in this space. And today I can proudly say that we sell one bra every 3 seconds. So while I'm speaking to you, 1, 2 sold. And we've been able to do that because we've made it cool. So the entire brand voice is that of a young girl who's funny, who's smart, who's cool. She can solve a problem. She may not be able to solve a problem, but she'll have fun while doing it. So if you go to our socials, if you go to our site, it will be all just fun. And every time a customer interacts with us, she's there, she feels like she's talking to her elder sister, to a friend. And that's how we've been able to, cut through all the market.
Yeah. I think, that's the key, that women also have the power to be agile, adaptive, that we're not stuck to what the rules have been laid. We make our own rules. And I think that is what works for us. Anjali, I'd like to get you into the conversation. I want to understand from you the sort of stereotypes that come in the way of women in leadership. Do you think that we have to prove ourselves more for the same thing that a man gets really served on the plate? We have to really prove our worth and it's not a one-time thing. We have to, when you go out in the pitch, when you ask for people to have the faith to put the money in your business, do we have to prove ourselves more? What has been and how do you circumvent that?
I think in areas, in workspaces that have predominantly been dominated by men, we have to prove ourselves in the way, because there are gender stereotypes that they don't have that much of capability, that much of brain, that much of strength. They wouldn't stay up till late, what is required to do the work. So all of these gender stereotypes exist when we go in the workspace. But it's also on us and all of the women leaders who are here, and so grateful that I'm sharing stage with such powerful leaders. So it's on us that we put in that extra hour, that we put in that extra effort, that we put we put down the foot on those negotiating tables, so that it will be easier. It will serve good on two counts. That one, the younger girl will be able to see a role model, that, okay, these are the places, like she will be able to visualize herself in a leadership position, because women right now are there at that position. And secondly, in the workspaces also, people will break those gender stereotypes, that, okay, no, women can lead, and they can become better leaders. And this whole the topic about leadership, it should not be gender based, it should be quality based. So any person who has those leadership qualities can become a leader. It does not matter whether a person is a male or female. And in fact, I just returned from, I have a fresh anecdote in mind. I just returned from Lucknow. I was there on duty. And there was a male staff there, and he just kept referring me as sir. Like, sir, I'll do it. Yes, sir, I'll get it done. And then I was just like, I stopped him. I told him that, I'm not, you can call me Anjali, but I'm not a sir. And I think it was very difficult for him to visualize that, okay, a young female can be his boss and can tell him to do things. So those barriers have to be broken when we will take those positions, when women come in spaces, be it public space or private space, and take up the leadership role. Those gender stereotypes will go away, and maybe like down the line, in a decade, when we sit on this panel, I can definitely say that no, they don't exist.
I just hope it doesn't take a decade for us to get there. But Poonam ma'am, I want to get you in now, and I want to talk about, what the earlier panel also mentioned, that, the life milestones for women. Shaadi ho gayi, bacche kab tak honge, and how that can intervene or become an impediment in the growth, in the career graph. How does a woman manage that? Is it possible for us to have it all? Can we not have a family, children, and a thriving career? How do you manage that?
So what you just mentioned about milestones like marriage, having a child, there are earlier milestones too. Should a girl be educated? Should a girl go past primary school, high school, then higher education? Do you invest in higher education? Does she marry early? So the milestones for majority of Indian women or women across the world start very early. And much of it has to do with social norms. And second, when I say social norms, there is this norm that it is the son who will light the fire of the father or the mother. Which religion says that? Who says that? I lit the fire of my both mother and father along with my brother. We have to break these stereotypes. Men are not going to do it for us. They haven't done it. Perhaps we've educated them wrongly or brought them up wrongly, to be fair to the men here and outside. But we have to break all these social norms and change. And it'll come with, since we are talking about leadership, and we were talking earlier, there was a panelist who said, I don't like the Western concept of a leader who is only when they're in a position of authority. No, I'd say that isn't true. And if you read books of today on leadership, leadership is mentioned not as a noun anymore. There was a time it was considered a noun. So you're the prime minister, you're the minister, or you're the CEO. Today, leadership I see as a verb, not a noun. You can be a leader and not exercise leadership. There are many men in leadership positions who are not exercising leadership. But if I just look at the 6 women political heads of countries we had during COVID, you'll all agree there is evidence to show they manage COVID better than any man-led country. So I would like to say that it is something that there are many gender roles that impact women's careers, but the one that impacts women's careers the most is their caregiving role. their birth-giving role. Women have the privilege and biological advantage of producing or giving birth to children. They also do the caregiving role. Yes, men don't have that advantage of being able to give birth to a child, and I think that will never happen. That won't change. But at least men can take the privilege of sharing the caregiving role, not just for the children, but for the woman who is going through triple burden: home, broader family, and work. So there, over here, let's not just wait for the men to stand up. By the way, I'm married to the most feminist, supportive, cooperative man. I worked and he stayed home doing consultancy so that he could be there for our children when they came home. So I'm not a bitter feminist. I'm a very happy feminist. And I do know a lot of men who play a partnership role, but they are few and so on. So the caregiving role, we have to create a care economy where you entrepreneurs have to think of women, bring men with you, but think of creating a caregiving entrepreneurship where women can leave safely their children in daycares, in schools, in-laws, parents, everybody the women is looking after. So if we had an ecosystem, and that's something where I think WEP can think about investing in I can think of a million things, but there is a great young audience here. I'm probably the oldest,
the most experienced. I
have a lot more to say and experience, but I will.
So let me take that conversation point a little ahead. And strangely, there is a lot of shame attached to that, Poonamji. I don't know whether you noticed, but a lot of us women feel shame in saying that, "Arey, ghar ka kaam my husband has to do," or he's a stay-at-home husband. There is a tag of shame. So there's a lot of stereotype and conditioning that is spun around this. Also, Nandini, I want to bring this in when we talk about a woman leader or a woman in a workplace. We expect at some level them to be nice, warm, empathetic, and when they show authority, then they become, bitch. That she's aggressive. A man is assertive, but she's aggressive. She's must be one of those days. So how do you fight that? How do you maybe fight again is a wrong word, but how do you take that on? How do you change that notion, that so it is conditioning?
When you asked that question, the first image which came to my mind was Jhansi ki Rani. I mean, no, look at what is the image which comes to your mind? She has a child in her lap or at the back, and she's riding a horse and fighting a battle, not only to save her kingdom, to save her child's future, to save herself. So look at it's nothing new. We do it. We have been doing it often, but look at us. It's a paradox we are living in. Rightly said, Megha. If I'm authoritative, I have to be a little, you can say a little adjusting as well. If I'm an autocrat, I have to be a democrat as well. I'm seen as if I say things, the same male counterpart says something and orders something, it's like he's being a man. But if I say, oh, she's an authoritative, she's such, this is very, very often. I've heard this, overheard. Even my team the team which reports to me says, my God, she bosses around so much. Husband to mara rehta hoga. So this is the kind of stereotype we are living in. So we have to be giving at the same. So what I do is generally, Megha, is that I am soft with people, but I'm tough on tasks. I sit on the table on Fridays. I wear denims and jeans and become one of them. I was a teetotaler to start with. I come from a very small town called Dehradun. So when I came here in Delhi, how to make a mark with my male counterparts were having wine and drinking and smoking and doing whatever, joking around. And I couldn't do that. So I have to be distant as well as have to be closer to them. So how to do that? So my mantra was Fridays, I used to just sit on the table, faff with them, crack a joke, and started having wine with them in the evening so that they can open up and actually be with me. So because 50% at least or 60% at least were men with me, and I was working with them, and as well as colleagues. So this is what it is. We can do. It's a paradox we are living in, and it's a double bind. I mean, you'll agree, right? So I think that's the way it is.
Yeah, yeah. Let me get in Soumya. Soumya, we're now talking about a time, of course, post-pandemic, and also we're looking at creating an ecosystem where we can have it all. Flexibility, like I said, has become very important. How do you bring that in as a leader in your workplace to also ensure you meet your targets, to also ensure work continues, but also be able to get in more people, make it an easier and a more creative as well as more sort of productive for everybody who's involved? How does flexibility play out in your?
The easiest answer is to hire more women and hire more women managers, more women in leadership roles. But the long answer is to also sort of give them growth within the organization. So from our own example, I can tell you that a girl who was a caller in customer care center, she understood the customer so well. After 2 years in that role, we shifted her to a different role where she saw growth, and she saw that this company is giving me everything that they can, and hence I must return the favor. So while obviously she ensures that her responsibilities at home, her children, her husband are taken care of, but she also ensures that this is my commitment. I have a stake in this business. I have to ensure that when a customer needs something, it is delivered. So I think it's more important to create accountability within the team, and not just women, for men as well. We also have to handhold a lot of men managers to ensure that when they're hiring, they give gender a 0 mark kind of a thing, and they look beyond the gender. And it's been a slow process, but today I think women are naturally, making the cut by themselves, and hence it's become much simpler. Having said that, I think empathy, regardless of whatever role you're in, as an organization, empathy is very important for a customer, for your team, for everything.
Yeah, absolutely agree. And I also, Anjali, I want to bring in this point of, we've often been told, and now that we are talking about, women empowerment, when we talk about feminism in a positive way, we say that we'll have to demand for it. We'll have to ask for what we don't get. How do you actually bring it to practice? Importance of demanding for what you deserve in the journey, and how do you handle the paradox of self-advocates versus speaking for your team?
I think it's very important to be demanding. I mean, but there is a very fine line between being demanding for your rights and for what's your share, and being selfish. And so the team would have a problem when you are being selfish. That means you want to take a pie larger than what is your share, when you are sabotaging somebody else. So, but if you are standing up for yourself, demanding what is your share, what's your due, then that paradox would not exist, because your team will trust you. They will know that if you are standing up, if you are demanding for your personal growth, it does not mean it doesn't come at their cost. So that paradox doesn't stay. And as women, I feel like we are naturally very toned down. We usually adjust more. But that's why it's even more important to stress that we do become demanding, that we do demand things, that if it is something wrong is happening to us, we do stand up and say, and we do take our part and our share in it. And in fact, it's something that our foremothers have done, that we have the right to equality, the right to vote, and all of these here, and that we are educated and we are standing here.
Yeah.
So we owe it to our next generation that we make it a better, a more equal world for them. And it will only happen when we demand the seat at the table.
Right. Thank you so much. And she's I'm just going to take that point forward, actually, Poonamji. We are, this generation of women at work and, heading startups. We are carrying that burden of a generation of gender pay gap and that lack of equity or representation. Are we in a haste to cover that gap quickly? How do we pace it out? How do we ask for what we deserve and yet not be impatient about it?
So I would like to see impatient women all across India at all levels. It's been too long. It's really been too long that we have known inequalities exist. We keep talking about women's empowerment at political and every level. I think it's time that we assert ourselves, and changes happen very quickly. Transformations also happen when the conversation has come center stage. Women's empowerment and discrimination or gaps or gender gaps, they have come center stage. We don't need to educate anyone that there is a gender divide, that women get lower salary, women don't go into senior positions, women take all the caregiving role. All of this, unless women exercise their leadership, I call it leadership, and not just for yourself. The way to do it is for everybody. You know, why have the men succeeded and where they are? Look at the men's networks, old boys' networks. On boards, they will support enough men. Everywhere they'll support men and each other. What about the women? I think it's a question we have to ask ourselves, whether it is the mother-in-law syndrome at home, or it is the sister-in-law syndrome, or at workplace.
Yeah.
We have to have agency. I keep telling my colleagues, and those are my most favorite passion in life, is to mentor, support, go behind women. And I keep saying we'll only do it if there's agency and collaboration, cooperation amongst us. Women should stop thinking we only have the crumbs of the cake. No, we are marching towards the real cake. We are going to share it with the men, but we are not going to have crumbs.
Yeah.
So therefore, you know, whether it is in your personal life, it can't just be at your workplace. In the personal life, have negotiations with your partners, people you're going to marry, or if you are already married, you have to negotiate, just you negotiate at work. I think equality and compassion and sensitivity to each other is very, you know, happiness is a very good thing. And it helps the children and parents who get along and support each other. You will see that the children are a very happy, secure child. So we just not worry about being impatient. We have been too patient. We just want to take the next step and have a transformative, very quickly future. And you all are doing it. And look at the number of young women who are exercising authority. And the last thing I want to say is that women across the world and in India, their aspirations have changed. So nothing is going to stop them.
Yes.
The village woman, the young girl, everybody, if you see today, their aspirations have changed. And more of them are exercising leadership and assertion. And we must do it in a good way, in collaboration with the men. Let's not learn from men what isn't right.
Yes.
Let's learn the ladder that they are climbing up for success.
Yes, absolutely.
Megha, can I add on
very
this?
well put. Yes, of course. We'll just do closing
a
comments
minute.
quickly. Yes.
Yeah, just a minute. Just to add to you, ma'am, your remarks. There were the previous panel. There was not even one woman on the stage whose father invested in her. It was they getting married, and then the husband or the father-in-law was good enough and allowed them to take the business. The problem with women entrepreneur today is they do not have financial collaterals. If they're starting on their own, if they're unmarried or something. How many fathers invest in their daughters? Tell me. So we don't have financial collaterals. There is no financial stability unless we are married into we have a rich husband who's ready to indulge in you. we should challenge the social structure.
Absolutely. Very well put. And I think there are so many vital takebacks from this conversation. I really want all of us to think, because I think somewhere we are falling prey to that stereotype, aurat ki dushman hai, there is competition. We are all queens. We have to fix each other's crowns, and we will succeed in this journey together. Use platforms like HerZindagi.com, like WEP. There is an ecosystem that now supports us. We have to reach out. I think importance of mentoring, leaders from leaders who are already making a mark. Make use of an event like this, network. Thank you so much to all of our panelists tonight. Thank you for sharing your experiences and these nuggets of wisdom.